Renanim, ¿cómo está? And hello. Welcome back to another episode of Grace Daily. Joining us on this Tuesday. Glad to have you here. At least if you're watching it when it came out, it was on Tuesday. But we're still glad to have you here, no matter what day of the week it is for you. So this week, our entire text that we'll be going through on Sunday will be Philippians chapter 2, verses 19 through 30. So that's verse 19 through the end of the text, through the end of the chapter, I guess. Today, we're looking at Philippians chapter 2, verse 22, and the Bible says this, "But ye know the proof of him, that as a son with the Father, he hath served with me in the gospel." There's something that attracts boys and men of all ages to knives and machetes. I know from a little boy, from the time I was a young boy, until now, I enjoy knives. I like machetes, but I especially like watching younger boys, young men, when it comes to doing a job with a machete. I've got some young boys like that help me out with the church on Fridays. And without doubt, if there's any excuse whatsoever to pull out the knife and to start chopping things, these boys are the first ones to use it, right? They're the first ones to volunteer to do the work of cutting stuff. And it's exciting, it's dangerous, and sometimes it's really just kind of fun to swing away and chop stuff up. I still enjoy it, and I'm no longer a little boy. But one thing about using a machete here in Chuk is it doesn't take long at all, at least for me, to start sweating like really hard, but it's the only way to get the job done. And so Paul uses a word today when speaking about Timothy. He says that Timothy served with him in the gospel. And this word served looks like a typical word in our English or in the Chukese, but the Greek word behind it sheds some light on what's really going on. So listen carefully, put your thinking caps on. The reason that we're doing these videos through the week, I want to feed you, but remember, I want to get you to the point where you're eating meat and potatoes and not milk. I want you to be remembering these cumulative lessons that everything is building. So listen up to this word and see if you recognize anything. Ready? The Greek word for this word serving is the Greek word edulesen. Okay, I'm going to say it again. Do you hear any part of it that sounds familiar? Edulesen. Okay? It's a verb form of the word doulos, which is our word for, I'm going to give you a minute. Alright, if you said slave, you're correct. If you didn't say slave, that's okay, we're going to give you a pass today. Doulos means slave. So, in blunter terms, we could really say it this way. We could translate it this way. Paul is saying that Timothy slaved with me in the gospel. And this term is only used like 25 times through the New Testament. And the interesting thing is that the word is used across a very broad spectrum. It's used in a lot of different ways. And there's multiple different things or different ways in which we can serve or slave away. We can serve our own bellies, according to Romans 16:18. We can serve idols in Galatians chapter 4, verses 8 and 9. We can serve others in Galatians 3:24. We can serve lusts and pleasures in Titus 3:3. And then finally, of course, we can serve Christ in Colossians 3:24. And the fact of the matter is that we all serve something. In fact, another way I should say to render this word is bondage. It's translated bondage in different areas. And we are all in bondage to something. Whether we are in bondage to Christ or whether we are in bondage to something else is the question. But Timothy didn't just work hard for working hard's sake. He worked hard, he slaved away for a very specific purpose. It was in the gospel. So remember, Paul is using this word, euangelion, gospel, 9 times in this short book. And this is one of them. So we want to perk up and pay attention. What's Paul saying here? The gospel wasn't just a nice little pastime for Paul and Timothy. It wasn't something that they only preached about on Sundays. It wasn't something that they nodded their head towards and said, yes, I believe the gospel. That is a very nice thing. The gospel was something that these guys were willing to work hard for. They were in bondage to the gospel. Now, voluntary bondage, but nevertheless. Not everybody is called to preach or to teach or to be in church leadership, but everybody is called to be in bondage to the gospel. In short, this just means that the gospel touches every part of my life. My job should be used to serve the gospel. My authority as a mom or a dad should be used to serve in the gospel. My position as a son or a daughter or a niece or a nephew should be used to serve in the gospel. So let me put it in this illustration. If you and I were professional athletes, just imagine for a moment, okay, I know I'm not a professional athlete, but we would be in bondage to our sport. Meaning this, everywhere I go, no matter what I'm doing, I'm an athlete. If I'm a professional basketball player and I go out to eat, I'm still a professional basketball player. If I go to a movie, I'm a professional basketball player. If I go to Shigeru, I'm a professional basketball player. My sport touches all parts of my life. And even though I might not talk about my sport in every conversation, in the end, my lifestyle reflects the fact that I'm an athlete. If you knew that I was on an NBA team and I was over at Shigeru buying up all of their 5-gallon ice cream buckets, you would kind of seriously wonder if I was really in bondage, if I was really working hard at my sport. If on the weekends you just saw me like eating potato chips and laying in the chair or something like that, you would kind of wonder, okay, what's going on here? Because it would look like I wasn't serious, I wasn't in bondage or working hard at my sport. And that's the idea. As Christians, we must be in bondage to the gospel as we live out our everyday, ordinary life. It touches everything. Remember, life equals Christ. It means they're one in the same. My life reflects Christ. So how about you? What do you serve? Where is your loyalty? Are you a servant of the gospel? Today, in all things, let the gospel be what you serve in. Grace and peace.